Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, it's your man Zen Master. I gotta tell you, it's been quite an adventure just getting this to you today. Man, I don't think I've ever had such technical difficulties as what I had today getting this particular live stream to you. It seems like sometimes the harder you plan, the more you plan, the worse things go. But here we are, you and I. Let's do a show. We got a great one planned for you today. A lot of hot topics that we want to touch on. Some recent topics we want to touch on that, we want to bring to light, especially the death of Wu-Tang Clan's Oliver, Oli, Power, Grant. Rest in power, literally, to that man. For those who may not know, Oli Power Grant was one of the founding fathers of Wu-Tang Clan, and we'll talk about that. But first, let's get into these J. Cole allegations. We're going to get right to the hottest topic of the day. By virtue of Poetic Flacco, the new J. Cole allegations are horrifying. Again, this is Poetic Flacco. Make sure you head over to Poetic Flacco's YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the like button, and all that good stuff. Let's spin the clip. Uh-oh, I got him muted.
If this is true, J. Cole's career is over with and he needs to be arrested tonight. But if it's not true, somebody needs to be bankrupt. Somebody needs to be sent a lesson with a lawsuit, because you don't put allegations like this on somebody for the sake of it. This entire drama goes back to 2018 when J. Cole dropped the KOD album. Now, the entire drama centers around the cover art for the KOD album. J. Cole also dropped the art book for the KOD album, right? Now, like the cover art and the artwork and, the art that was in the art book for the KOD album was really unique, and no other J. Cole album cover looks like this. And that's because it was done by a guy called Kamau Haroon. Him and J. Cole only worked on one project, and that was KOD, and that happened in 2018, and they haven't worked since. Even though they only worked briefly on one album, Kamau absolutely hates J. Cole's guts. He despises J. Cole. He hates everything J. Cole stands for. According to him, his words, not mine. Now, Kamau took to the timeline today to explain exactly why they only worked once and never worked again. He took to his Twitter timeline to celebrate getting a new job that no longer operates on commission but salary. He would write, "I got the job I've been talking about. Your boy ain't no longer a freelance artist. I don't gotta do these F-ass commissions anymore. F your album cover, ninja." Somebody says, "Wait till you clock in, fam." Kamau says, "I've been clocking in for these record labels in an evil industry every day of my life, ninja. I'll be okay." Kamau also says, "Freelancing felt like selling my soul, my passion, my gift, and turning..."
Okay, let's get to the part that this has anything to do with J. Cole. If this guy has a beef with J. Cole because of work, who cares? But let's get to the heart of the matter. I really don't care what this guy's gripes with his career are.
Into
really
slop.
don't. So let's skip ahead a little bit.
So then somebody responded back and says, "Selling your time is like selling your soul. Trust me, both suck. So just enjoy the pros and cons. Pro of a wage job is knowing you're gonna have bread, blah, blah, blah," right? So people were telling him, "Hey, listen, man, this job ain't, all that it's cracking out to be. You might regret this job." So one person says, "Now it's going to be a conceited director that doesn't understand boundaries or ethics."
See, this is just
Kamau
typical
wrote,
work stuff. Let's
"Man,
get to it.
J. Cole tried to force me to draw child corn. I'd rather just have a mean boss for real." When he said this, the time...
Damn, Flacco. I mean, I know you gotta fill some time here, bro, but you stretched that shit out, bro. You're gonna accuse the man of some serious allegations. Don't come on here with some petty gripes by his former freelance artists about things that are unrelated. I don't want to hear that. Get to the heart of the matter, which I believe we are now on. And boy, I know clickbait is a thing. We all engage in it. I'm guilty as well. But when it comes to this sort of allegation, this sort of presentation, we'll put it that way, I would be a little bit more, I think I'd like to be a little bit more ethical than what maybe Flacco showed on this one. This guy talking about J. Cole tried to get him to draw mild chorn. Is that Pile chorn? We'll call it. It's just, I mean, let's hear what he has to say. But does anybody really think that J. Cole wanted Pile chorn anywhere near his album project? On its face, it's a ridiculous claim. But let's hear what Flacco has to say.
Not erupted. You had Drake and Kendrick fans rushing to the tweet to label these allegations true because they hate J. Cole. You had J. Cole fans comment labeling this dude as a disgruntled employee. And the first question they asked was, hold on, like, why are you just speaking about this? Like, if J. Cole actually do this, why didn't you speak up when it happened? He responded back by pointing out that he's been calling out J. Cole since 2019. So he worked on his album cover in 2018 of April. He called out J. Cole March of 2019. So in 2019, he would write, and that ninja J. Cole asked me to draw little underage girls naked. He a effing weirdo. The age of how old the allegations are given some credibility.
Number one, if you're going to make an allegation like that, you better have evidence. So let's look at the specific allegation. And that ninja J. Cole asked me to draw little underage girls naked. He a effing weirdo. All right, let's hear the whole claim through. I have nothing but faith in J. Cole as a man. He's one of the better men in hip hop. My camera is blinking on me, so I'm going to refresh that. I'm telling you, the better I prepare sometimes, folks, the worse things go. So just bear with me. Camera's back. All right, let's spin the clip.
Girls naked, he a effing weirdo. The age of how old the allegations are given some credibility, but it could just be somebody who worked with J. Cole in 2018, J. Cole fired him or never worked with him again. He got disgruntled, so he's making up lies. I mean, it could very well just be that. I wasn't in the room. But a lot of questions derive from this. Are you saying that J. Cole told you to draw child porn for the album cover? Or are you saying that J. Cole told you to draw child porn for his own personal use? Spoiler alert, Kamau exposed himself as a weirdo too in this thread. So he says, when I did the KOD album cover in 2017-ish, he flew me out to California afterwards for booklet art. In his studio, him and his security had me in a corner with my sketchbook, pressing me to draw underage girls for a project I'd never heard.
I'm inclined to not believe this guy at this point. He doesn't seem like a very professional person, the way he's going on social media about his career. If he has a real problem with J. Cole and Pile chorn, why wait till now? What's this really about?
He says, of course I said no, but they were persistent. Why you saying but? What's the but about? At the time, he was my boss. What are you getting to? Mm-hmm. What are you getting to, bruh? I had no money for real. What are you about to tell us? He paid for my rides, food, hotel, for me and all the people who was helping him put the project together. Okay? If I wasn't in his good graces, I would have been ish out of, what are you, Kamaru? What are you saying, bruh? This man says, so I had to learn how to compromise with evil. I drew a bunch of girls taking nude selfies, but the way I angled the camera covered all the naughty parts. I didn't feel good about it, but this is evidence in the album booklet where one of the sketches actually made it in. So he's claiming that this is one of the sketches that he says was actually him drawing an underage, which I'll be real, looking at the picture right now, this kind of looks like a depiction of a really young girl. This looks like a depiction of.
It's obviously a really young girl. But what is the full context of this artwork? If J. Cole did not ask this artist to draw explicit sexual acts, if he asked them to draw, let's say, nudes of children, I know how sensitive and touchy that is, but let's look at some of the classic art where babies, naked children, all that stuff is seen in classical art. Not making an excuse for it, not agreeing with it. I don't want to see that shit. But what was J. Cole's real intent here? And I'm guessing that given that the song lyrics are there, the song lyrics have something to do with the artwork, and maybe this is what J. Cole was trying to express. And maybe J. Cole only needed one of those images for this particular slide within his album insert to express whatever the song is trying to get at. I don't know what this song is about in particular. Maybe you do, maybe you can clue me in, let me know in the comments. But I worked in hip hop. I recorded 6 albums as a record label owner. Everything is intentional. Everything, especially artwork. So I would assume good intention here by J. Cole. This is a public work. If he were some sort of creep, do we really think J. Cole would broadcast it this way in such a non-Freudian way? Unlike Corey Holcomb, who, lets his Freudian mind slip sometimes and tells on himself. This guy, no. But let's finish hearing what Flacco had to say.
A really, 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 really young girl. This don't look like an adult from my perspective. So he's claiming that J. Cole is who told him to do this, okay? But it doesn't stop here. He would later accuse J. Cole of telling him to draw him more for personal reasons. But we'll get to that a little later. Just stay tuned. We'll get to the other allegations. It extends far beyond just album cover. J. Cole fans came to the comment section and said, dude, hold on, bro. You are a liar, right? J. Cole didn't instruct you to do anything. You had full creative control. You were the ones who did this because you are a sick man. Keep J. Cole out of it. And, the J. Cole fans were loud enough that this dude even got a community note. On the original tweet, the community note stated, this allegation is fake. User has said in the past that they had complete creative freedom over KLD Network. User also has the same CP art in their own art collection. So, bro, you are weird. You are weird, Kamau. If you're claiming what was in that album was CP and you included it in your own art, that's weird, okay? So they even had the exact quote, and the exact quote was, I did all the creative direction for the KLD album, and he told me my work was only going to be used for booklet art, only to turn around and make merchandise illegally with my art behind my back and profit majority off of it while on tour. F him.
I mean, that's probably his real beef, to be honest with you. And if that's the case, it's valid if you have a contract. And this is something I want young people, especially young artists, to understand. Get a contract. Know your contract. They're not extremely complicated. A standard contract is a standard contract, and there are certain clauses that you're going to need to pay attention to when it comes to your compensation and your ownership and your rights. And if you are too aloof to pay attention to a contract that you sign, it's your fault. I used to hate when rappers talked about getting jerked back in the day. Oh, we signed a bad contract. We was kids, we didn't know. We signed a bad contract. True. But you were also desperate. You were also thirsty and hungry. You were also careless, and you accepted whatever they threw at you, and you have to take responsibility at the end of the day. Don't complain about it. This guy didn't like the deal he got, probably on a verbal, probably didn't have a written contract. And he has no recourse because he didn't have a written contract. So now he's mad. And we got to hear about it. We got to hear fake allegations against J. Cole for pile chorn.
Now we're starting to see what the motive might be for lying on J. Cole, if he's lying. Mm-hmm. The motive might be he came in, he did some cheap labor, right? J. Cole paid him cheaply to do the album cover. He got paid for it. He thought he was about to come up off of the relationship. J. Cole didn't work with him again, but then J. Cole took his album and his artwork and began to make merch and profit from it a lot, and he didn't get a dime. So now he's upset at J. Cole. Mm-hmm. So he responded back and he says, it's misquoted. I did all the album artwork. Cole was the art director. The discrepancy came when he used art that was meant to be album art for merch instead to make extra profit. Here you can see I'm credited as illustrator while Cole
Where's your contract, sir?
is art director. J. Cole fans will also point out that this dude has some outright blatant lies on his Twitter timeline about J. Cole. He would claim the 21st of August, right, 2025, that he had Lil Nas X and J. Cole in the studio wearing interconnected do-rags and forced them to record together. New track dropping soon. Which, bro, you've never had J. Cole and Lil Nas X in any studio together.
Funny.
And also, why were you in the studio with J. Cole if you were claiming that J. Cole...
Let's not lie, interconnected do-rags is funny. I need to get a AI picture of J. Cole and Lil Nas X with some interconnected do-rags. Look for that on our community posting on Facebook. We're gonna produce that, I promise you.
Is this, right? And he would also follow this up by saying, J. Cole not safe in New York City. He better go back to California with that country-ish. He would also say, we stripped J. Cole naked and handcuffed him to a radiator on a cold tile floor. Okay. Then apparently turned the heat all the way up. No.
You know, this Kamau guy is giving me, he's giving me some Corey Holcomb vibes. I think this guy might be telling on himself a little bit with all this homosexual talk. This is starting to look like classic projection to me. Let me know what you think in the comments, but it's starting to look like classic projection.
Homo, though, he said. There's a 0% chance he kidnapped J. Cole. There's a 0% chance any of that is true. So people are pointing out, hey, man, how can y'all take this seriously? Yes, he did the artwork for J. Cole. Yes, he's the author of the art, and he could probably tell us what age he was imagining in his head. But how can y'all believe he's telling the truth about J. Cole when he's clearly lying about tying up and kidnapping J. Cole? When the fans began to press him some more, he began to double talk. So one fan says, question, how does someone even go about asking for CP?
Okay, folks, I think we get the gist of this story and what it was really all about. Somehow Poetic Flacco managed to stretch this into 14 minutes and 20 seconds. We're not gonna sit here and watch the whole thing when, you know, a simple 2-minute video explainer would have done the trick. But Flacco got to get his bread, and from what I see, he's getting quite a bit of it. And I ain't mad at him, and I'm trying to get mine. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, hit the stars. We need those stars. We're trying to get up to 1,000 of them. If you're on YouTube, man, a super chat would be appreciated. Anything you can do, we'd appreciate it. Salute to Will Stumbling. I see you. Beantown in the house, man. You know, this is the West Coast Online. I'm about to head down to the Motor Center in just a little while and catch Anthony Edwards against my Trailblazers tonight. And honestly, I don't know what to expect. It's going to be a show. I think it's going to be a really good game, except we don't have Shaedon Sharpe. He's apparently going to be shut down for the season, and maybe Denny Avia is going to be shut down for a while too. The Trailblazers may be launching a soft tank. And to be frank with you, given this draft, I'm okay with it. We are currently either the 10th or 11th seed in the West. And, you know, obviously we're not going to be a strong contender this year due to all these injuries that we've had this season, which has just been, I've never seen more injuries. Half the team has been gone for most of the season, and it hasn't stopped. Because of those injuries, Denny Avia and Shaedon Sharpe got overworked, and now they're injured. So our two best scorers are out. Donovan Clingan has been doing an amazing job. Jeremy Grant got to step up. But it ain't going to be enough against the Timberwolves. I'm expecting a pretty bad loss tonight. But at least I get to go see Ant-Man play. I'd like to see him and Scoot go head-to-head a little bit. That's what I'm looking forward to tonight. Hopefully Denny is available, but I think he's going to be shut down for a minute. Anyway, we got more stories for you tonight, and I got to get going to the motor here in a little while, so I don't have all night. I got about 30 to 40 minutes or so before I need to hit the highway. All right, so let's get into the next story. Our man Touré, world famous Rolling Stone journalist, world famous, you know, college dropout genius who made his way into the limelight in the 90s. Just one of those guys who's been around forever. He's a role model as far as I'm concerned. an excellent person, an excellent journalist. He's messy, and he knows, I tell Teray in his chat, he's messy all the time. So we're about to hear a story about Teray playing basketball with Prince, a la Charlie Murphy. Teray's stories be cracking. I'm sure this is be no exception. Let's get to the video. Uh-oh, we gotta unmute it first, though.
One-on-one basketball with Prince. It's 1998 and he's promoting the Symbol album, which means his name is right now an unpronounceable symbol. And you're told before you go into Paisley Park, do not call him Prince. He will be very upset. What are we supposed to call him? Anything but Prince. That doesn't really answer the question. Someone said if you call him Prince, you will get thrown out. But when we're playing one-on-one, it does.
I would have called him Mr. Nelson until he made me say something else. His name is Prince. Prince Rogers Nelson. Now I can't call you by your first name? Or maybe I'll just call you Rogers. Or maybe I'll just call you Rogers Nelson. But I wouldn't have let Prince get away with that bullshit. Thus, I would have been kicked out of Paisley Park, no doubt, I'm sure.
Doesn't matter. He's wearing a black scoop neck top and black bell-bottom pants, the stuff he was wearing when he was rehearsing just a second ago. But he took off his heels and put on red and white Nike Air Force high tops. And we're balling. He's knifing around the court, moving quickly, dribbling quickly. He looks like a baller. He'll slide under your arm and grab a rebound you thought was yours. He is quick like a jitterbug, moving around.
Imagine a nigga playing basketball in a chiffon shirt. I just can't, man. Prince out there with all kind of high-tech fabrics on, man. Prince was a character,
the courts. He's one of those little guys who's really fast, who you have to keep your eye on every second. He moved like a player. He played all the time. His jumper looked like Steph Curry's. Not saying he had that level of proficiency. I'm talking about the form.
I see that form. Yeah, it's perfect.
Shooting was the way Steph Curry shoots. So he looked very natural and traditional and textbook with the way he shot.
With
his energy and discipline, it was a rapid game, but not a chaotic one. He's clearly somebody who loves basketball and studies it and understands how to move on the court. But even though he looked like Steph Curry when he shot, both of us were rusty, so we missed a lot.
How bad do I feel that at 5'7" and something like a 98% white high school, I couldn't make the basketball team sophomore year? But Prince, little 5'2" ass, made his high school basketball team. How bad do I feel now? Horrible, but big up to Prince.
A shot. So after a while of like 15 minutes of playing one-on-one, there wasn't much scoring going on. So we shifted to 2-on-2. Me and Prince against my photographer, who had been told not to take any photographs, and his keyboardist, Morris Hayes, who's like 6'4". So now I'm playing 2-on-2 with Prince as my teammate. You gotta be fucking kidding me! How we got there to playing basketball at Paisley Park is an interesting story.
Mr. Nelson,
I had a cover story on him for a magazine called Icon. I went out with a group of reporters for what was basically a junket. Each of us had like 20 or 30 minutes with him in a conference room. But 20 or 30 minutes in a conference room was not enough for a cover story. So after we finished that, I said, hey, I need more time with him because I have a much larger amount of real estate to cover. And plus, talking to him in the conference room, I couldn't get a sense of the real Prince. It was clear that he was wearing a mask and playing a role and being a version of himself and talking about contracts and masters and writing slave on his face. And that was all great and important, but I wanted to know the real Prince.
I always thought that phase that Prince went through was really performative. I understood he felt like he was getting jerked on his contract yet again. Artist, your contract is your responsibility. I know you have entertainment lawyers, but your contract is your responsibility. And Prince really went all out. And for the rest of his life, you hear stories about Prince being an evangelist, about owning your masters. He wouldn't work with someone unless they owned their masters. In other words, Prince would only work with independent artists once he gained his own independence, from the label system, from Warner Brothers. So this is what Prince was doing at this time. He was locked in a deal with Warner Brothers that he desperately wanted to get out of. They wouldn't let him get out of because of the terms of the contract. So he felt like a slave. He felt like he didn't own his own name, and he was rebelling. And I just felt like at the time, it was like, man, just go ahead and do what you got to do to get off that deal, because they're going to hold you to it. But it's just like with sports, you make enough noise, they want to trade you. They want to release you with conditions. They want to own a certain percent or charge you this or charge you that. But eventually, they will set you free. And that's what happened with Prince. He wound up owning his music, and the rest is music history, as we say.
And interviewing him was absolutely not that. The publicist said I could send him an email with 10 questions. Email was relatively new then. So I emailed him 10 questions, and he wrote me back. And I know it was him because the writing included the letter I for I and the letter U lowercase for YOU and all these little writing things that were very princely. And I wrote him 10 questions, and he wrote me answers to 7 of the questions. So the questions he answered, he intended to answer. The 10th question was, will you play basketball with me? And the answer to that was anytime, brother. Anytime? I was not gonna let that pass. So when my photographer went to Paisley for the cover photo shoot, I went with him, and I brought a basketball, and I stood off to the side, dribbling the ball and holding the ball and being like, you said anytime. As the photo shoot came to an end, he looked at his assistant and said, bring out the box with all the sneakers. No. And then he disappeared. Prince had a way of disappearing. You'd be in the room with him, paying full attention to him, and then somehow, poof, he's gone. He never says goodbye. He just disappears. I don't know where he went. But after a few moments, somebody said, hey, please come around here. And I walked around, and there was this soundstage where the band, including Morris, were all rocking out. And then right beside the soundstage was a basketball hoop. So this is where we played one-on-one, which really got nowhere, although I got to see the real Prince. Competitive, shit-talking, boyish, ambitious, confident. I was like, this is the real guy. Now I'm getting to see him with the mask off. And when we got into 2-on-2, I could see that even more. He's taking aggressive drives to the hoop, taking on both defenders at the same time, like somebody who's super confident, used to taking on the world by himself. It's show.
I can't help but to laugh when I see that little cartoon of Prince dressed like a chick in the club in the 90s playing basketball.
So much of who he is and the confidence that he feels in himself. So I'm being a good point guard and feeding him the ball as much as I can. Now, one thing you should know, I grew up watching Magic Johnson, so to me, a good pass is a no-look pass. So I'm dribbling the ball at the top of the key, Prince makes a move, and he's open. He doesn't even know how open he is. I pick the ball up without even looking and shoot it right to him. No-look pass. Now, it's coming toward him, and he doesn't know it's coming toward him. Smacked him in the face. And I can see it's going right toward his nose. And I'm going, oh my God, it's gonna break his nose. I'm having all these thoughts in a millisecond. Oh my God, he's gonna be so mad at me. I'm gonna be a bit, oh my. So now I've gotta tell him. So I go, Prince, but you're not supposed to say Prince. So now I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna be so mad at me.
Mr. Nelson.
So it's more like, Prince, and then I cover my mouth. Oh my God, like I can't let the sound get out of my mouth. So it's like, Prince. And I'm like, oh my God. All that in like 2 milliseconds. The ball did not hit him. It came close, but it went by his face and went out of bounds.
Look at his
Prince
chapeau.
went out of bounds to go get the ball. And as he's walking back, he's pointing at me and giggling. And I'm like, what's so funny? And then Prince says, you didn't know what to call me. And he loved that I was off balance with, what do I address you as? He would not have cared if I had said Prince. He wouldn't have cared if I had said Purple Rain. That was all for the label, to screw with them. People, one-on-one, fans, reporters, you could call him Prince. He was fine with that. After that, the game teetered back and forth. The score was close. Finally, when it was 13-12 for us and we were going to 14, I saw him on the baseline, shot a pass over to him, and he knocked down a jumper. We won the game. One of the most amazing experiences of my entire journalism career. I got to see the real Prince. I broke through the mask to see who he really was. That was the best part of the whole thing. I couldn't have gotten to the place to see who he really was through an interview. We needed this hangout moment to get to his real self. Years later, I was told that he really enjoyed playing basketball with me, and that blew my fucking mind. Thank you so.
Man, I told you, Teray got some great stories, and that was definitely one of them. Prince was consistent, man. He loved basketball just like I do. And I get it. It's a beautiful sport. And especially us little guys, 5'9" and under, it's a sport that we can never dream really of being any good at. But some of us are very, very skilled. I had a friend back in Pennsylvania, salute to Reggie, if you're still around, Reggie Murray. Reggie Murray is shorter than me. Reggie's like 5'5" and would slaughter your ass on that basketball court routinely, no matter who you were. But there's levels to everything, man. You get to college and shit gets real, you know. It gets really real. You're going to Juniata Prep. You ain't going to, NC State or Syracuse. You're going to Juniata Prep, cause you ain't playing with them big boys. Anyway, I thought that was a really interesting story. That was the first time I've heard it. We do have a couple more things to talk about tonight before I head out to the Motor Center for this basketball game. The first thing that I want to talk about next is the creepy truth, according to our man Darren Monroe Politics on YouTube. Darren is a political commentator. He drops about 3 or 4 videos a day. I listen to Darren for hope. I'll be perfectly honest about that. Things are so politically dire in the United States right now that I literally listen to this man just for hope. Now, this is not necessarily the most hopeful video you're ever going to see from Darren, but it is very illustrative, and we're going to watch some of it together. But Darren is basically hypothesizing that Chuck Schumer is part of the Epstein class because Chuck Schumer has been named in the Epstein Files something like 58 times. That's right, the Senate Minority Leader, former Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, named in those Epstein Files along with Donald Trump over 58 times. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it may not be a duck, but in this case, it's probably a duck. Either way, let's take a listen to what Darren Monroe had to say. Just a little background on Darren. He's a former hip-hop marketer, so you're going to see some interesting album covers and plaques on his wall. Let's get to it.
Chuck Schumer's in those Epstein Files, and he's suspect. Let me tell you something. He's listed. Go over there. It's right over there in the DOJ. He's listed 54 times when you put up Chuck Schumer's name. So at first people are like, no, he's not in there.
Times.
Yeah, he is. He's in there. On top of that, he accepted thousands of dollars from Jeffrey Epstein in the 90s in donations. It makes sense that Chuck would do that. And Chuck actually had a 2-year email relationship of change with Jeffrey Epstein, y'all. He in them files, man. And this makes a lot of sense. Here's what I'm saying. For instance, this shutdown that happened last year, nobody challenged Chuck at all. He's the most powerful senator right now in U.S. history, and nobody's challenged this guy. And it's like, why did you not challenge this guy after he turned against his own party and tried to end the shutdown? That's usually suicidal. Now, they got good old Chucky baby in these files. And he said he was an outsider. He ain't no outsider. He's an insider. He's always been an insider. Here's the thing they don't know about Chuck Schumer.
He said it was out, though. Smell more like endo.
He's a Democratic senator in New York. And there have been billionaires. All the big billionaires have paid Chuck. Facts. All the billionaires have paid money to Chuck. Okay? So Chucky baby is in on it. He's in on it. He's trying to crawl away from it, but he's in on it. He's gotten money from him. And, you know, they said that several powerful, not one, but several powerful New Yorkers are the ones whose names that are redacted. Well, it ain't Chuck's. But I bet you Chuck know him. I bet you whoever's name is redacted got a check.
I bet Chuck know him.
And Chuck got a check from him. That's what I mean. Something's up. Something's up. And I'm willing to say it. I'm on the left.
He said, I bet Chuck know him. That's my man.
Easily. Okay, don't you see my blue shirt? I'm on the left. I wear a red shirt at times, so I gotta wear the blue shirt and say something. I always talk about myself when I'm wearing the red shirt too. Here's the thing. I think that it's so intertwined, not only with the Democrats, Republicans, yes, billionaires, more celebrities, but here's what you should watch out for. This is the bombshell you should take a good look at, and that is the lawyers, the accountants, the banking financiers, and the middle people, the fixers. Those are the ones in New York, and all of them know Chucky baby. Chucky baby is deep in this shit. He is. It's nothing where, you know, they got pictures with Chuck and but did somebody send Chuck some young girls? Yeah. Or young boys? I don't know. Chuck might be gay, you know, or bi or whatever. Yeah. You know, was Chuck up in them circles with that BDSM and that, you know, Chuck may have a safe word, you know what I'm saying? He's like, Chuck.
Dreidel.
Chuck is deep in this. But it's not just Chuck. Obviously it's others. But when you're talking about banking, financier, and so on, and here's the thing you got to understand about this stuff. It ain't gone. When Epstein got caught, it didn't go away. When Epstein died, it didn't go away. You know, it was just, Epstein was part of this. Epstein was this. The whole video was sex trafficking. Sex trafficking might be the whole video, but the whole city of Chicago where I'm at is money laundering. There's just way too much stuff going on that you see that, you know, it's weird. It's creepy. And one of the things I'm telling people to do is please put out this video. Share this video. Do me a favor. Share this video. Because we don't know or not if Chuck be raping, but we do know that Chuck is in them files a little too damn much. He is.
He said, we don't know if Chuck be raping. Darren is usually not this funny. I don't know if maybe it's just the sativa or what, but Darren is not usually this funny. He's cracking me up tonight. This is the first time I'm seeing this, but bro's cracking me up.
It's close, and it makes sense. And Jewish people don't get mad at me. This is not a Jew conspiracy. Epstein is Epstein, Schumer is Schumer. No. It's just that Chuck knew all the billionaires and most certainly knew the Jewish ones. Come on now.
Hello.
Come on now.
Hello. All right, now, this is where we add the Zen Master touch. All right? First disclaimer. We all have the same disclaimer. You know what? Screw the disclaimer. This is a Israel, Jewish, Christian nationalist, Zionist, molestation ring that we're talking about, headed by an American Jew. And there are so many American Jews involved with this man It has to be said. If it were any other ethnic group, they would be denigrated left and right. And I'm not here to denigrate Jewish people. But the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, was one of this man's most notorious clients and likely killed women, either at Zorro Ranch or on Epstein Island or both. Dershowitz. I could go on for days. Every time you turn over a rock. Now, I say that to say this. We posted a video from Jon Stewart yesterday, or the day before yesterday, when he was talking to Trevor Noah about ethno-states. Jon Stewart is a Jew who I agree with politically in just about every way. Jon Stewart does not support AIPAC. He does not support Zionism. He does not support a Jewish ethno-state. And a whole lot of American Jews on the left feel exactly the same way that he does. But Chuck Schumer's snaky ass, the reason we don't have a real opposition to Donald Trump in this country is because Chuck Schumer is happily getting everything he ever wanted for Israel. And he is being rewarded heavily. That man's name will be heralded in Israel forever, way longer than it's heralded in these United States of America. Chuck Schumer has displayed and demonstrated through his actions and his lack of sacrifice, personal sacrifice at this moment, that he does not represent New York and its citizens. He represents Israel, AIPAC, and the Epstein class, and his ass gotta go. And everybody like him gotta go. Full stop, no disclaimers. I don't know why everyone is so afraid of Jewish people. Yes, they had a horrible Holocaust. Black people have had two of them. One in Congo, one here in North America. The Native Americans had a Holocaust. They are not the only ones, but they are white. They are white. And that's the goddamn difference. Take away the Star of David, put a cross on them, and it's the same motherfuckers that treat us bad here in the United States, unfortunately. They have a right wing in Israel that is dominant because of racism, just like we have a right wing in America that is dominant because of racism. And they have merged. They are merging along with South African billionaires to form a global system of surveillance and control on all of us. That is the reality of what's happening right now. And Chuck Schumer is supposed to stand in the gap and protect us. And Chuck Schumer absolutely has not. Nor has Hakeem Jeffries, who knows he's impotent anyway. What in the world could Hakeem Jeffries possibly do besides quote some more Jay-Z lyrics? Hakeem Jeffries, shut the fuck up. Don't nobody want to hear you rap. You're the minority leader of the House. What we want to see you do is fucking lead. The Democrats are feckless, corporate, paid for. Vote them all the fuck out. Bring in new progressives. Get those corporatists out of this party. We have no need for two corporate parties in the United States. The Republicans got that on lock. What do we need it for? We need a party to represent us. Let's hear what Monroe has to say.
Come on now, if he was black, I'd say the same thing. He know all the people, but knew the black was better. You know, come on.
Exactly.
Come on. On top of that, you know, Chuck he's been acting weird in the last year, covering up for shit that just don't make sense. His name is behind a lot of stuff. I mean, his hand is in too much. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just a little too weird and a little too coincidental that this is going down like it is. There are going to be other.
I'm gonna just call it what it is. It's the divided loyalty of Jewish American politicians. That's what it is. They worried about John F. Kennedy having an allegiance to the Pope in Rome. Apparently, John F. Kennedy didn't play that game. What we have is a country that is now captured by a religion, a foreign religion, because we worship their subordinate religion. That's what we are. The United States is Israel's bitch, if you haven't figured that out.
The names in there. Powerful, powerful names of billionaires. But here's the thing I want you to understand. Our biggest thing is no matter who's in that file, whether we like them, they're on our side politically or their side, or whether there's somebody we see that's a star. I've heard names like Tom Hanks. I've heard names even like Denzel. I'm praying, no, please, please. But these are rumors. These are rumors, all right? I haven't officially seen anything in there, but I'm going to tell you right now, I hadn't even looked up Tom Hanks or Denzel. I don't even want to, but I'm going to look up. I'm going to look it up, and I'll get back to y'all.
If those stars had anything relevant in the Epstein Files, we would have known about it. Epstein's circle was so large, man. That sphere of influence was so large, and he encompassed so many industries in his sphere of influence that, you know, somebody said you're nobody if you're not in the Epstein Files. That's kind of true. And I know it sounds like, you know, from a nasty standpoint, you don't want to be in the Epstein Files, but these are the most well-connected people on the planet. That's just the truth. They're the wealthiest, most well-connected people on the planet. And to be associated with them means that you have prestige and clout, point blank, period. So, you know, we understood what was being said, and we're not going to pretend that we don't. Our next clip that we're going to look at, and I got to get my butt to the motor center, so I'm going to make this one fast. We got RGIII and his wife Greta reacting to Cam Newton's recent comments about women's value in the, I guess, in the sexual marketplace or in the dating marketplace after they've had children. Pardon me for the adjustment. I'm highly interested in this topic as a father of a 19-year-old, soon to be 19-year-old daughter. Also as a single man who, you know, is looking for love. I'll give my perspective before we spin this clip. I have not seen the clip yet, so I want you to know what I really think before we react. A woman, if you are a young man, 20-something years old, a woman with no kids is extremely valuable to you. My personal experience is that I was career-oriented. So I delayed having children as long as I possibly could. Being from a small town in Western Pennsylvania, wasn't prepared for, you know, college, big city life, all that. So I had to bounce around a little bit, get my bearings, learn the ropes. Joined the Army at 28, all kind of stuff. But I wound up falling in love along the way. Long story short, my now ex-wife had one child at the time that we met. No biggie. We separated. She wound up having another child. We got back together. Now she has 2. I love that woman exceptionally, but I can honestly say that 99% of the time I would not have married a woman with 2 children. And the reason being is because the headache that comes with it of being a stepfather, especially if the father is being a pain in the ass, which in this case he was, and the woman is not being honest with you, it's a pain. All right, it can be agony. And then if you got a real asshole, they could be trying to make your life hell as well as life hell for that woman. Fortunately, you know, dude only tried to make my life hell so much as he tried to stay near his kids. And I don't blame him for that. Me and him are cool to this day. But I know personally I tried to make it as easy as possible for the next man because my daughter was in that home and I didn't want to cause trouble. And believe it or not, she wound up remarrying with 3 kids. So tells you my ex is probably a pretty solid woman to be able to pull that off, right? Married another career man with no children himself. So it depends on what you're looking for. Now, once you've had your children, maybe you're out there, you got a couple, you're divorced, maybe you've just been single, you got 2 kids of your own, whatever the case may be, a woman with children may actually be more valuable to you because you can share some responsibilities with your children. You can have a blended family and bring those families together into one. Also get the financial benefits from those tax deductions that come from having 4 kids, etc. All the benefits that come from merging families are there for you if you're in a position of, I already got a kid, I'm older, etc. Like right now, please, I'm 53 going on 54 years old. I don't even think like that anymore, okay? I'm beyond that, right? So now I'm looking at if I'm dating a woman and this has occurred, I met a woman, bad, brick house body, all that stuff, wanted to take her down, but then she started telling me about her home life. She got a 26-year-old nigga sleeping on the couch or a 26-year-old nigga at the house. And then she starts telling me about his little issues. But ladies, if you're dating a man of means, a man that got his life together, the last thing he wants to hear on a first date is about your criminal son. He's going to run for cover, which is what I did. So the criteria, I mean, the things that you look for as far as consistency, steady, not a lot of drama in a person's life, those things really don't change. What happens is whether you have kids or if you don't have kids, that really determines whether or not you're going to want or value a person who has kids more or who doesn't have kids more. 9 times out of 10. That's how I feel about it. Cam Newton had his say so. He feels like women devalue as they get older and devalue as they have kids. I think that's a ridiculous notion. I think value is always in the eye of the beholder. But let's listen to what Greta and RGIII had to say.
The law fully stops here because what the hell? Cam Newton, we're talking about Cam Newton again.
Here we go.
Cam Newton went on a podcast and talked about how a woman's value decreases with the more kids that she has. Should we play this clip for them?
Yes, go ahead and play the clip.
Play the clip.
Women's value get lower the more children that they have.
Break that down.
Because, and I was having this conversation, with one of the mother of my children, and she's still fine. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But like I was telling her, I was like, yo, the guy that you're dating or will date, if he ain't willing to love on these 5 children that you have, that ain't the guy for you. Because when I came into your life, I was willing to accept you and whatever you had.
All right. After watching this, first of all, that is just so heartbreaking to me that a man would even talk about a woman like that. A man that has multiple baby mamas would talk about a woman like that. A man that has put women in those positions where he thinks their value has now decreased. You have then done it to them, sir.
Oh my goodness.
So if a woman's value drops with every child, correct?
No, it doesn't, but that's what he said.
Based off of Cam Newton, a woman's value drops with the more kids that she has. So does a man's value drop with every broken promise, with every added baby mama?
Let's take RG3 and Greta for an example. Do you think, viewer, RG3 values his wife less or more each time she has a new child? This is what I mean about the perspective of value. Cam Newton is mentally a child. Don't forget he played football. He got hit in the head for a living. He's mentally a child. Fancies himself as a player, some sort of King Solomon, whatever the case may be. Cam Newton ain't the brightest guy in the world, but when it comes to this, he's just dead ass wrong. First of all, let's spin the clip.
Or do we only do the value math on women? That is I feel like that is such a toxic masculinity mindset that truly pisses me off to my core.
Yeah.
Because what do we see every day? People get a divorce, women have multiple babies, and they find somebody new the next day, the next month, the next year. This is not a thing anymore. People are actually willing to step up and raise the kids that you don't.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is such a BS take, and that literally pisses me off to my core that he would even go and talk about women like that and think that a woman's value decreases with the more kids that she has. Because I sure well know a woman that is just going through a divorce and has multiple babies, and she got all types of celebrities in her DMs, including...
What about your mama, Cam? Did her value decrease every time she had a baby? What about your mama? Did you drive down your mama's value, Cam? We gotta stop saying this stupid shit. I know y'all love this red pill, think you're manly because you talk bad about women bullshit, or you think you could put women in their place in 2026. Those days are over. Those days are over. The world ain't what it used to be, and it never will be again. And you got to grow up and get past it. Cam is extremely disappointing. Let's spin the clip.
Shaq, a married woman, okay, Shaq? She married.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the bottom line is this is a great topic. Obviously, you just nailed.
I can yell for an hour.
You hit the nail on the head. We have to stop talking about women's value as if it's like a stock or a bond. And it ebbs and flows and goes with the times. And I think a woman's value isn't a number, right? It's about their character, sacrificing, love, commitment, and also value is in the eye of the beholder.
Yep.
So when you talk about like standards, responsibility, presence, that to me is where a woman's value comes in, not from body counts or baby counts. To me, a mother doesn't lose value. A man loses value when he can't respect the women who are raising the future. Because that's essentially what it is. Without women, men cannot procreate, put people on this earth. It's not like men are the sole ones doing that.
Yep.
All right, so again, what we're talking about really, if we want to get down to it, is the Kevin Samuels of it all. Kevin Samuels introduced this concept to the black community via another red pill talker, but essentially the valuation of women in the dating community, in the black dating community. It's for young people. It's for people who are actively dating and having established families. It is not for older folks or married folks or men who cherish their women and grow with their women. That's not who that conversation is for. That Kevin Samuels conversation was for men in their prime, successful, with no children of their own, to go out and find a woman. He was very specific about who was the seeker and who was the sought. But all people hear is, you're average at best, and they go off to the races. Kevin Samuels was not wrong, but his use case was very specific. And I think that's the split here between Cam and RG3 and Greta. And of course, I agree with RG3 and Greta way more in this situation because I'm a mature person, point blank, and they're mature for their age. Certainly.
And then honestly, in traditional terms of, hey, the man goes to work, the woman, makes the house a home. There is no one to make the house a home if you don't have the woman. And now, of course, in today's age, you have women who are going out to work and men are going out to work. And sometimes the women are the breadwinners. And to say that a woman's value decreases with the more children that she has, is it's not just problematic, it's nonsensical, it's non-logical. Now, for you as a man to say, hey, I don't want to be with a woman who has 3, 4, 5 kids.
That's your choice.
From another man or from different men, that is your choice. But that doesn't decrease the value of that woman.
Right.
I just think that's a misplaced statement, especially.
There's only merit in that the average man, the average male dater who hasn't ruined his life will certainly avoid women with more than 3 children. Certainly. 9 times out of 10. So we have to allow for that as well. It's not black and white.
When
it's
a guy like Cam who has multiple baby mamas. And listen, Cam, we compete together in overtime and OT7. We see each other all the time. We've done podcasts together. But brother, come on, man. you're going down the wrong path when it comes to how you talk about women. And I do think it probably had something to do with BET getting rid of 106 in sports, because Cam had a female co-host on that show, and had also come out and said that he can't be friends with women who are attractive
because he don't want to hit.
and it's like it's just it's problematic way of thinking. And I think it's a big problem with the way that men think about women in the first place.
I couldn't agree more. I honestly couldn't agree more. I think that sums it up perfectly. We all have to go through our phases. We all have to grow up. Some of us men, we pride ourselves on our doggery. It just is what it is. I can't call it. Some men can't help themselves. I think it's genetic for some men. I got some friends, man. Them dudes can't be loyal to save their lives, and they love their women. They love the woman they're with, but loyalty to a woman, they're just like their fathers in a lot of ways. But, it's human nature. I don't think monogamy is necessarily innate in humanity. We cheat too much to believe that it's innate. And I don't believe that polyamory is the best system for life economically. So it's a struggle, and I think it's a personal choice for all of us to pick what works for us. Folks, I got to go to the Motor Center for this game to go see Ant-Man. But before I leave, I just want to say, rest in peace, man. Big up, rest in peace to Oliver Power Grant of the mighty Wu-Tang Clan, who died on February 23rd, 2026. Power was one of the business people who made it possible for us to learn the names ODB, Method Man, Raekwon the Chef, Ghostface Killer, You God, Inspector Deck, et al. GZA, we knew GZA, but we knew RZA. He's one of the people who made the Wu-Tang Clan possible. Power was the street dude who took all of his money and poured it in the Wu-Tang Clan when they couldn't. When Divine was broke and out the game from a prison stint, Power is the one who held it down. Power paid for the original studio. Power put the money into Wu-Wear, sold his car. He was a hell of a businessman. Rest in peace. Wu-Tang forever. Oliver, Oli, Power, Grant. So Wu-Tang forever, baby. I'm gonna put it up. Wu-Tang forever. Rest in peace. This has been Reaction Nation with your man Zen Master. I'm out this motherfucker. We'll see you on the next go round.